we are currently involved in a study of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, the resurrection. We have been focusing over the last few videos on the fact that Paul said Christ was the first fruit of the resurrection, the first fruit of those who had fallen asleep. Now, I want to make a correction here. In my previous video, I made note of the fact that Mark chapter 16 says Jesus appeared in a different form. Well, I had a brain burp. I said that the Greek of the text that Mark used epiphania. He did not do so. He used a form of phanero. And Jesus appeared in a different form. Greek word morphe. And evidently I used a different word for different. I had grabbed my Greek text and looked at it, and I just flat, something went wrong. But the point of fact is, it says he appeared from a form of the Greek word phanero. And he appeared in a different form. And a very sharp-eared friend of mine, Gerald Davis, who knows Greek very, very well, called my attention to how I had misstated the exact words that were used. And I appreciate that correction very, very much. It's my desire to be totally accurate in what I present. Okay, well, we are talking about the fact that Christ, once again, was the first fruit of the resurrected, or first fruit of those who had fallen asleep. And the question therefore becomes, what was the nature of Christ's resurrection body? It is argued, well, we are going to be resurrected exactly like Jesus was. My argument has been, continues to be, if Jesus was resurrected in an untransformed, non-glorious, immortal body, non-immortal body, then all of the claims that Paul's talking about, some future resurrection of every human being who has ever lived in exactly that same form, is therefore falsified. Because no one believes that there will be a future resurrection of untransformed, non-immortal, non-glorified bodies. My argument continues to be that the post-resurrection, pre-ascension body of Christ was exactly and precisely the same body that Jesus had in his incarnate form. No difference whatsoever. He went out of his way in Luke chapter 24, when Thomas had doubted that he was raised from the dead. He went out of his way to say, a spirit does not have flesh and bone as you see me have. Thrust your hand into my side, touch me, feel me, that it is I, even I myself. Now, how much clearer could Jesus have made it that the person that he was, the body that he possessed at that moment in Luke chapter 24, was exactly and precisely the body that he had prior to his resurrection? When people talk about the resurrected body of Christ being a transformed, immortal, incorruptible body, the question is justifiable. Why then did Jesus' resurrected body still possess the wounds? Why was the wound in his side still present? Why were the wounds in his hands still present? Are those who are saying that Jesus' resurrected body was transformed, immortal, incorruptible, and yet bore the marks of his crucifixion? Are they going to say, well, okay, we are going to be resurrected with the same physical marks of our human frailty? I mean, I've got a bad right foot, okay? It's scarred from surgery that I had to have as a result of walking out in front of a car one Sunday morning when I was 6 years old, spending 2.5 months in the hospital, nearly dying. So, since Jesus' post-resurrection, pre-ascension body possessed the wounds in his side and in his hands, and yet that's supposedly his glorified body, does that mean that when I'm raised out of the grave, I'm going to have the same physical ailments in my human body, in that physical body? There's a total inconsistency among those who say his body was resurrected, immortal, incorruptible, undefilable, but it still had the wound marks. Why was it not transformed into a perfect human physical body, if the point is a transformed physical body? There's something wrong with that paradigm. And listen, folks, if you want an extensive discussion of the resurrected body of Christ, don't forget to order this book, Like Father, Like Son, on Clouds of Glory. And don't forget, this is an upgraded version that has both scriptural and topical indexes in it for your ease of study. And my thanks to Sam Dawson for doing that for me. Well, we've got more on the resurrection body of Christ, proving that Jesus' resurrected body, post-resurrection, pre-ascension, was totally unchanged. It was not transformed. It was not immortal. It was not glorified. And we will continue to prove that, because this is so important in understanding the nature of the resurrection in 1 Corinthians 15. We'll see you on the flip side.